what I've decided to do whilst we're in lockdown and I can't get the bus out is really do some of the walks around the island. We're allowed out for a bit of exercise. And it's something I like to do. Fortunately, I don't really get the time to do it, given that I'm quite busy running the business. And I thought, well, you know what, why don't we take you guys along, show you some of what the island's got to offer, give you an idea of other things you might like to do when you get here. And there's always a lot to do on the island. You can come out on tours with us, obviously. We've got a couple of very good operators in boats. You can do tours around the island. People like Aquascene Charters, Pilgrim Sailing, Big Mama, Island Time Cruises, get about. If you like to do things on your own, you can go snorkeling, you can just sit on the beach. One about birds of prey. Can't see it. Out for dinner maybe. Desperately trying not to fall down here as I walk down. Starting to see a few butterflies soon. I think maybe we'll do butterfly walks for you as well, whilst we can still get out. So this is one of those walks. It's quite easy to do. In fact, I think this is the walk I do most on the island. You often hear about the Forts Walk, but that takes you a couple of hours. This you can do in 15-20 minutes. It's easy for the kids, and there's some pretty cool views. In my opinion, second best walking trail on the island in terms of views. All the bays on this eastern side of the island were originally named after people. We had Brights Bay, the next one was Frenchman's Bay after Emile Armand. Surveyor William O'Connell renamed all these bays. So Brights Bay became Nelly Bay, Frenchman's Bay became Jeffrey Bay, and then we have Alma Bay, Arthur Bay, Florence Bay. Now you might be seeing a pattern there. All the bays are renamed after a family called the Pierces. There was a family called the Baldings as well. They shared some of the names. So once you go beyond Florence Bay, you then get Balding and Radical Bay. Radical being named after MV Radical, the survey vessel that O'Connell was using. Nelly Bay's a bit different. First Europeans to live on the island, build a house here permanently, were the Butlers. They had a daughter called Ellen, but everybody called her Nell. They say Nelly Bay is named after Nell Butler. There was a Nell Pierce, so the Pierce family claimed Nell as theirs. Mr. William Bright had a girl living with him who he loved dearly. She worked for them. She's actually buried next to them in the family plot. You want to guess what her name was? That's right, Nell. So take your pick, folks. Any one of those three could be the name or the contributor to the name Nelly Bay. I like to think it's Nell Butler, but who knows. Whilst we're on the story of how Nelly Bay got its name, I did try and have a look at the records, because Nell Pierce and Nelly Butler were spelt differently. Nelly Pierce was, one was IE, one was Y, and you'd think you could look at all the records and just work out who had the name first. Unfortunately, the Queensland government, in their wisdom, has used both spellings of those names throughout the years on official documents. So we don't know. One of the things I love to see on the island is this stuff. Lichen or lichen. You'll see it all over the rocks on the island. And the reason I like to see it is because, one, it's the start of your soil formation. started those processes, but secondly, it only grows in very clean air. The fact that we have so much all over this island really tells you that we've got such clean air on this around us. It's awesome. This bay that you can see behind me is Picnic Bay. Got its name from the first recorded visit from Europeans to come down here. 1865, party of Townsville folk came over to have a picnic on the beach. It became very, very popular after that, so it kept its name, Picnic Bay. You're able to see the Picnic Bay jetty. It's heritage listed now, and that's the third one on the site, built in 1957. The original one was built by Mr. Robert Hales all the way back in about 1910. Just further down in this bottom corner here would have been, in the early days, the Butler residence and the Butler jetty. Harry Butler was the first European to build a house on Magnetic Island, and he had a small ferry service. A few years later, Robert Hales turned up, built a jetty on the opposite side of Picnic Bay, and they went into competition. Hales won. Hales was all about money. Butler was all about lifestyle. Hales goes on to run a huge empire, ferries Darwin, Cairns, Lake Bertie Griffin, down in Canberra, and even as far afield as Hobart. And this is now on the Queensland Heritage List, so it should be preserved for future generations. It's a beautiful jetty. Love Picnic Bay, it's one of our favourite bays. We often come down to Picnic Bay. It's a quieter bay, but it's a beautiful little bay. If you get a chance just to check it out, it's the end of the bus route, nice and easy to get to. So here we are, folks. 15 minutes after we left, we're at the top of Hawkings Point, ready to take in those views. You'll see why I think it's got the second best views of any walking trail on the island. Magnetic Island was the original quarantine station for Townsville, pretty apt in these days. So they did eventually build a quarantine station over in West Point, but for a few years before that, quarantine worked like this on Magnetic Island. Your boat would be quarantined in Townsville, you'd be brought over, put in a tent down on the beach. Butler family would come out and look after you. Men were down by the Picnic Bay jetty end, and the ladies were down by the butler's house. Basically, you either got better and went into town, or you died and you were buried on the beach. So there are stories about people being buried in graves around that area. So that's the Hawkins Point Trail. It's only an easy 15-minute walk. Hopefully you've seen why I think it gives you the second best views on the island after the Forts Walk. So as the sun sets behind me over West Point, I'd like to say goodbye. See you next time.